Hi, welcome back to the Queen A.K.A. Misty Show. I'm your host, Queen A.K.A. Misty. Yes, I'm Queen. Well, that's to me anyway. Um, like I said before the break, you know that I've had a stroke and I get confused, and so I want to backtrack a little bit to the lady who wanted to talk to me from the New York Times. Well, after I had no, after I had the stroke and I knew about it, uh, when I went to recovery and then I went to a room one step down, they came to my door again and they said, listen, this lady is really hounding me to talk to you. She was following you from each heart attack and she needs to talk to you. She would like to talk to you. So I said, look, I don't know. I've already had 3 heart attacks and a stroke. She she needs to come talk to me now because I don't know if I'm leaving this hospital. So she came to my bedside and did an interview. I explained to her everything that happened, basically what I explained to you, and she wrote up an article on me. She they came, took pictures, and I was in the New York Times. Uh, I was on the front page. The story was on the front page. They did a timeline of how long it took from me to call 911 or from to Raleigh call 911 from the time it took to get me from that point to the table. And that's what the article was about. They're trying to shorten that time to help people get from calling 911 to the table to save you. And my picture was in the New York Times, and this was in March, so if y'all can go on the computer and look back, you'll see Yvette Samuel's story in the New York Times. So all of that happened, and I go home, and I wrote notes about this, and I still can't figure out what to say. I go to rehab in the hospital. I was there from March to June, and I'm home getting home therapy, learning how to walk again. I mean, I'm to the point where I can, with my cane, I had a cane, I can do obstacles at home. I learned that at the rehab. And the rehab at Lloyd's Hospital is phenomenal. They work you. They don't fool around trying to get you to walk and do things. I mean, from day one, they did not say, well, let me hear you talk. They started teaching me how to talk. Sorry, I thought somebody was coming in. So I started doing the therapy at home. And here's where it gets a little dicey. I think I was home for maybe 2 weeks, and I'm blurry about the timeline. Therapist came, checked my vitals, said I was okay. And I kept hearing this rattling in my chest. I said, when you get a cold and you hear the rattling in your chest and you just don't want a cold. And I was just, annoyed. I was short of breath, and my therapist said, well, we're not going to really work it because you must be getting sick. So he left, and the rattling got louder. I'm like, what is going on? I'm really having a hard time breathing. And I asked Raleigh to come listen to my chest. I said, do you hear anything? He said, yeah, you really have some rattling in your chest. And I said, it's really hard to breathe, and it's getting worse. So I called the nurse at the group that was helping me with the home care, and they said, call 911. So this is how fast this happened. From that point, call 911. My breathing is rapidly getting harder to breathe. I mean, I am scared. I've never felt this way before. So it's like someone holding you by the throat, and every second getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And I said, I can't breathe. Again, Raleigh to the rescue. Got me dressed, got me in the living room. Then the paramedics were there. And by the time the paramedics showed up, I literally looked at them and said, you're too late. There's no way I'm going to survive this. I had no air. It felt like, I can't even describe what it felt like. But I could not breathe. And I just knew I was dying. I told them, I'm going to die because you're too late and I don't know what this is. And they said, oh, they was doing so much. They was putting IVs in my arm, and then it was trying to force air down my throat. And they put things on my face to force, there's so much air coming through. And nothing worked. I ripped the mask off my face. And they said, let's just get it to the ambulance. And they got me to the ambulance. And as I'm being pushed in the ambulance, I started going to the bathroom on myself. And hopefully this is not too much for anybody out there, but it's a key point. I lost control of my bodily fluids, and I knew that was the end. And I touched, this is hard to talk about. I touched the paramedic, and that was the last thing I remember. All of a sudden, it was raining that night. The rain stopped. The siren stopped. My struggling to breathe stopped. And I was someplace else. I remember seeing a blue, beautiful sky with diamonds. And I was okay. I felt relieved that I could breathe, but I didn't know this place. But I wasn't worried. I didn't have any cares. I just felt okay. And the next thing I remember is waking up on life support in the hospital. And then I was told, the story of what happened. And when you hear this story, I am probably going to shatter a lot of things that's been said about what happened to me, because I can now tell you from experience. I was there. I'm going to tell you where I was after the break. Stay right there. You don't want to miss this. Back in a moment.